Hello students, as we know due to corona pandemic, offline classes are not possible. So I have tried to make some video to make pharmacology easy for you all. So today we will be discussing pharmacodynamics, the first part of pharmacodynamics. So what is pharmacodynamics? We know that dynamics means power or action, and pharmacon is drug. So this word tells us that pharmacodynamics means what are the actions of drugs, or what is the power of drugs or effect of drugs, and how these effects or how these actions are produced. So pharmacodynamics is the study of the biochemical and physiological effects of drugs and how these effects are produced, what is the mechanism of action. So this is all what the drug does to the body. Now, how drugs act? Actually, drugs are not able to produce any new function or any new activity in the body or tissues or cell. Drugs only alter the pace of ongoing activities in the body. So, whatever activities are going on in the body, in the tissues, in the cells, drugs can only alter the pace of ongoing activity. It usually does not impart any new function to the cellular system or to the tissues or to the body. But there is an exception to this fact also, and that is gene therapy. In gene therapy, we introduce a new gene to the cell which can introduce a new function in the cell. So that is an exception. Otherwise, most of the drug only alter the pace of ongoing activities in the body. Now, what are the major types of drug action? So, the drugs can cause stimulation, they can produce a stimulation of a specific cell or of a specific function, like adrenaline increases heart rate, or a drug can cause depression of a specific cell or a cellular function, like omeprazole depresses gastric secretion, or we give barbiturates which depresses CNS. So they can cause depression of any system or any cellular function, or a drug can sometimes cause irritation of any tissue or cell mass, or drug can act as a replacement, like in hypothyroidism there is deficiency of thyroid hormone, so we give thyroxine from outside as a replacement, or in diabetes mellitus we give insulin as a replacement, or in parkinsonism we give levodopa as a replacement of dopamine. So a drug can be given as a replacement, and sometimes drug can produce action as a toxic action against specific cells, like bacteria or virus or any parasitic cell or any cancer cell, while producing minimum adverse effect on the host cell. So that is known as cytotoxic action. So these could be broad or major types of drug action. Now, how these actions are used? So many times a drug can act just by its physical properties, like we all take isabgol bhusi during constipation. So that isabgol act as a just act due to its physical properties. It absorbs water and it produces bulk in the intestine and act as bulk purgative or bulk laxative. So that is due to its physical property. Or sometimes a drug can act due to its chemical properties, like we take antacids to neutralize the gastric acid in stomach. So that is due to its chemical properties. But in majority of cases, the drugs act via interacting with specific biomolecules in the on the cells or inside the cells, and these target biomolecules can be, they are mainly of four major categories. They could be enzymes, ion channels, transporters, or receptors. And out of these four major target biomolecules, receptors are the most important biomolecules, and many of the drugs act through these receptors. But we will see one by one all these major target biomolecules. So enzymes, we all have studied about enzymes, that and we know that all biochemical reactions in the bodies are catalyzed through the help of enzymes. Thus enzymes are an important drug target. And drug can increase or decrease the rate of the reaction by stimulating or by inhibiting the enzyme or the reaction. But we know that most of the physiological reaction, they are acting at their optimum pace. So enzymes are already acting at their optimum speed, which could not be further increased in most of the cases. So as a drug target, enzymatic actions are mainly inhibited. So drugs mainly produce enzyme inhibition. Before going into inhibition, let us revise how enzymes act. We all know that enzymes have a specific site for the binding of substrate, which is known as active site, or which could also be called as substrate binding site. So we see that this is an enzyme where this is the substrate binding site. So substrate bind at a specific site, the reaction takes place and the products are released and enzyme is freed. Now this inhibition by the drug, this inhibition could be non-specific or specific. Non-specific, like heavy metals, they denature most of the proteins and they inhibit all the enzymes which they encounter. So that is called non-specific inhibition. But most of the time we go for specific inhibition as drug target, and this inhibition could be competitive or non-competitive. So what is competitive inhibition? Here the drug is structurally similar to the normal substrate. So as the drug is structurally similar to the normal substrate, the drug will compete with the normal substrate to bind at the active site. And as a result, it will inhibit, due to the competition, it will inhibit the binding of the normal substrate and the reaction speed will decrease. So drug will compete, and as a result the speed of the reaction will decrease. But this is a reversible type of inhibition, because if substrate concentration is increased, then it will displace the substrate, will displace the drug, and still Vmax, that is the maximum speed of reaction, could be reached by increasing the substrate concentration. Here we can see that this is an enzyme, and this is the substrate binding site where the substrate binds. Now in the presence of competitive inhibitor, what will happen? There will be competition between the drug and the normal substrate, and as a result of competition, this drug will inhibit the binding of substrate. But if we increase the concentration of substrate, then substrate could still displace the drug, and maximum speed of the reaction could still be reached. So it is a reversible type of inhibition. In case of non-competitive inhibition, what happens? That drug is not structurally similar to the substrate, but drugs bind at an alternate site, at a site which is different from substrate binding site. And due to binding of drug, what happens? There are morphological changes in the enzyme structure, and as a result this enzyme is no longer able to produce its normal action. So now enzyme is changed, it is not able, now it is no longer able to bind with the substrate at all, and as a result this enzyme for rest of its time, it is not able to produce its action, and it is non-reversible type of inhibition where maximum speed, that is Vmax, can never be reached. Non-competitive inhibition where the drug binds to a site other than the substrate binding site. Another type of inhibition is non-equilibrium inhibition, where the substrate is where the drug is structurally similar to the substrate, and it competes with the substrate, but the binding of drug with the enzyme is such that it is sometimes a very strong bond like covalent bond, or the drug has very high affinity for the enzyme. As a result, the substrate could not displace the drug even if the concentration of substrate is increased. That is a pseudo reversible type of reaction, where there is competition, where the drug is structurally similar to the substrate, but the substrate could not displace the drug even if the concentration of substrate is increased. So it is known as pseudo reversible, or it is known as non-equilibrium type of enzyme inhibition. Now, our second target is ion channels. We know there are multiple ion channels in the cells, like sodium channels, potassium channels, calcium channels, which help in passage of movement of ions across the membrane, and they can act as important drug targets. Drug can bind to these ion channels, the ligand gated ion channels, and they can facilitate the opening of these channels, or they can inhibit the opening of ion channels. Like we have potassium channel opener drugs, which bind to the potassium channel and increases or facilitate the opening of potassium channel. Or we have calcium channel blockers, which bind to the channels and inhibit the opening of calcium channels. Or we have sodium channel blocker like phenytoin, which block the opening of sodium channels. So ion channels are also an important target of. The third target is transporter. We have already discussed in, or you have studied in the pharmacokinetic portion, that transporters are important proteins which are transmembrane molecules, and they transport important biomolecules from one side of the membrane to other side of the membrane. So they help in or they facilitate in diffusion of molecules from one side to the other side. And drugs can bind to these transporter and inhibit the function of transporter, and result into specific concentration of biomolecules on one side of the membrane. Like cocaine inhibit the norepinephrine transporter. And now we come to the most important drug targets, that is receptors. Receptors are the backbone of the pharmacology, and majority of drugs act through receptors. As a word, we see receptor. Receptor as a word will tell us that any substance or any biomolecule which receive a drug will become a receptor. But actually receptors are, it is a biomolecule or it is a macromolecule located on the surface or inside the cell, which recognizes, binds and initiate the response to a signaling molecule. So receptors are actually present in cells, on the cells or inside the cells. They are mainly for endogenous substances, or we can say endogenous signaling molecules like hormones or neurotransmitters, etc. And what is their function? We can see from this definition that they recognize the signaling molecule, they bind the signaling molecule, and then they initiate the response to the signaling molecule. So whatever that molecule is, whatever signal that molecule is bringing, they recognize the signaling molecule, they give a binding place to that molecule, and then whatever signal is present in that molecule, they initiate a response and convey that signal to the cell. So that is the main function of receptor. You can see that this is a receptor, which is a transmembrane receptor, and here a ligand is coming, which is a signaling molecule, which is identified by the receptor. Now this ligand binds with the receptor, and as a result some changes occur, which results into initiation of response in the cell. Okay. Receptors are usually protein in nature, and as I have told you that normally they serve as receptor for endogenous substances like hormones, growth factors, neurotransmitters, etc. Now what is a ligand? Ligand is any molecule which binds selectively to a receptor. It does not mean that it will bind to a receptor and it will initiate a response. Ligand is a substance which has ability to bind the receptor. It may initiate a response, may not initiate a response. It may activate the receptor, may not activate the receptor. But if it selectively binds to a receptor, then it is not. So as we have seen the definition, there are two functions, mainly two broad functions of receptor. First is ligand binding. So it recognizes the ligand and gives a binding place. It binds the ligand. And second important function is signaling. So whatever signal is present in the ligand, that receptor initiates a response and conveys the signal forward in the cell. So there are two main functions of the receptor, ligand binding and signaling. And as a result, there are two main domains of the receptor. First is ligand binding domain, and to which the ligand binds, and another domain is the effector domain through which the effect is initiated. So this is a diagrammatic representation of a receptor. In this receptor, this is the outer side outside the membrane, and this is the inner side inside the cell. So here is the ligand binding domain where the ligand binds and results in a conformational change in the receptor, and as a result this is the effector domain where the effect is initiated. Okay. Now here we can see another important thing. Now this is a type of receptor, G protein coupled receptor. We will discuss our various types of receptor in our next video class. This is a receptor to which a hormone or a ligand binds. Now as a result of this binding, what happens that there are certain conformational change in the receptor, and that this results into release of small molecules inside the cells. So as a result of this receptor activation, there is increased synthesis of CAMP. Now this CAMP, these are small molecules which will further go in the cell and they will activate various proteins like protein kinase A. And these proteins will bring about the cellular response. So here we can see that the first messenger was this signaling ligand. This was the first messenger which brought the message to the receptor or the signal to the receptor, and as a result of activation of receptor, this signal is conveyed in the form of second messenger CAMP, which are small molecules which will spread inside the cell and they will activate specific proteins or deactivate specific proteins, and those proteins will then bring about the cellular response. So these small molecules are known as second messenger, and this whole process from receptor activation to ultimately effect is produced. This whole process is known as transduction. So activation of receptor results into conveying of the signal in the cell, and which ultimately results into production of effect, and this process is known as transduction, and this whole pathway is known as signal transduction pathway. So in signal transduction pathway, we have three major stoppages or three major partners in this signal transduction pathway. The first is receptor, which is activated by the ligand. Then there are intermediary molecules. The most important are the second messenger, which conveys the message to further to other proteins, and then the cellular target where the response is produced. This is known as signal transduction pathway. Now, on the basis of signal transduction pathway, we categorize receptors into mainly 5 categories, which we will be discussing in our next class. I hope this class, as an initiating class for pharmacodynamics, is easy to understand. And if you have any queries, you can ask. All queries are welcome. Thank you.